Welcome to Mary's School of Prophecy. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the Third Eagle of the Apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. And I think you will find this is another fascinating dream from Snowland. And I noticed she made a comment already about the title. She says, "God bless to all." An interesting title, Mr. Williams. Slenderman didn't think of it that way. Well, I will explain in a minute, Snowland. Actually, I could have titled the program about our refuges, because I think that's what it's actually about our safe refuges and how to have a safe refuge. But that's a kind of a boring title. I mean, I've done so many titles that way. But Slenderman is in this dream of hers, so I thought that would be a much more interesting title. Let's face it, it's called clickbait. People are more interested in Slenderman than they are in safe refuges. So I could have titled it either way. So I thought I would explain that right off the bat, Snowland. And by the way, as I go through this, if you find me making mistakes, feel free to call in at the end of the program, because that's very possible. Now, before I get to her dream, I want to get the housekeeping out of the way. And this is my address for those of you who may be new to this program. William Tapley. The lights are just not good. There you go. William Tapley, Post Office Box 291, Osage, Iowa 50461. Okay, I think we can get right into the dream. And I talked to Snowland last night, so I think I have gotten just about all of her points. I think I understand them, and I think my interpretation is correct. I've been working on it all day. So let's go, and I am pausing here a minute because I have to get my screen straightened up, because I don't need to look at how many people are watching the program. Okay, let's go to slide number 1 of Snowland's dream. And she says she received this dream on November 5th. That was, 3 days ago. And she says, "Hello, William. This dream is a little bit sadder than the other. It starts off in my new home, where I am currently living. In my new house, there are 2 bedrooms upstairs, which are connected." So I'm going to pause here right away, because this is actually a very interesting start to the dream. And when she says it's sadder, I think she's talking about what happens later in the dream, because her 3 previous dreams have been about the fall of the Catholic Church. I didn't go back to look at them exactly, but I think you'll remember them. Remember that the churches were kind of bare, and the priests were not reverent at all. And in this new home, I believe that's what Snowland is referring to, her new home, as opposed to the Catholic Church. I think that's why she calls it her new home. I mean, she does have a new home, as you, my regular subscribers, know, but I believe that this is symbolic. And she says there are 2 bedrooms upstairs. Well, in apocalyptic prophecy, and I think Snowland gets apocalyptic prophecy, that is, it must be interpreted, 2 most often refers to Mary's Rosary and Scapular. For example, the 2 wings of an eagle that the woman flees to the desert on, that represents Mary's Rosary and Scapular. The 2 weapons that David uses against Goliath, the 5 smooth pebbles, that represents Mary's Rosary. The scapular, that represents the shepherd's sling, represents Mary's scapular. And notice that Snowland says the 2 bedrooms are connected. Well, that refers to, I believe, what Sister Lucy said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't she say that the Rosary and the scapular are connected? I believe it was in an interview with Sister Lucy. And notice that the bedrooms are upstairs. That means that Snowland's new home is under Mary's protection. So this is not the sad part of Snowland's dream. I think, and I did not discuss any of this with Snowland last night, because it didn't occur to me. I've been working today on the Decode. And I think Snowland will be very happy to know that I believe this is our Lord's message to Snowland and Sayako and her mom and brother, that their new home that they are in is a safe refuge. I know they were a little disappointed about having to move out of the old house because they felt that the old house was a protected refuge. Well, I think that the Lord is telling you, Snowland, that your new house is a protected refuge also. Okay, so let me continue with slide number 1. I was in the master bedroom. On the left side, there is my mother's air conditioner that is installed in the window. I walked up to it and pulled the black curtain so I could look outside. Upon doing so, my gaze caught a normal-looking plane flying by, but the pilot was flying dangerously low, almost reaching the height of my window. I did notice the airplane doesn't have any passenger window. Then a second airplane, similar to the first, flew past at the same height. I darkly joked with God, telling him, "Can you make that plane crash?" I can't believe a nice girl like Snowland would tell God to make the plane crash. And I asked her if that didn't shock her as she was saying it to God in the dream, and she said it didn't. It didn't occur to her, she said, until after she woke up, that she couldn't believe she would say that to God, but that's evidently an important part of the dream. I asked her about the size of the plane. Was this like a huge airliner, or was it a little Piper Cub? She said it was a medium-sized plane. The lack of passenger windows, there's probably a significant to that. And when she says she joked with God, I think that makes it clear that Snowland is not really serious about wanting the plane to crash. Okay, let's check the second slide. My screen is on the left here. After I told that dark joke, I took notice the plane was going lower and lower as the scenery changed, and the sun was setting very fast. Then it turned dark, and the whole location from outside changed. Instead of seeing the regular scenery in front of my house, it was some other place, like a state building, similar to a Congress building. No, where I live, there's barely any buildings or houses in front of my house. The plane crashed into the government building, and it blew up. Out of shock, I went to my bedroom where my sister was and started to cry. I told God to crash the plane, and it hit a building. I think people are dead, I told my sister. My sister began to calm me down. I quickly went back to the window, and my sister and mother went to the right side window to see what's going on. So I asked Snowland about these planes, and one went by and disappeared, and then the other plane went by. So it was one right after the other. But it's interesting that the planes go by her window, the window of her house, so that she can see them, but that's not where they crash. The plane crashed in somewhere else. And what's interesting to me is this a real prophecy? I mean, Snowland doesn't usually give real prophecies like that. When she talks about the church in decay, that's going on right now. But here she is talking about a plane crashing into a government-type building. And is this a real event that she is prophesying about? This would be like Dana Coverstone's dreams. And let me show you the picture. She sent me a photograph of what she saw, or was like what she saw. This is the photograph she sent me. And she said that the Congress building that she saw had, I think she said, a green roof. And I'm not sure if this picture shows a green roof or not. And she said it had a dome on it. So this is the type of building that was in Snowland's dream. So now Snowland is getting dreams something like Dana Coverstone's dream. Remember Dana Coverstone's dream about Biden, for example, being in the rotunda and not being charged with any crimes. Well, that has come true. And is this dream of Snowland, of a plane crashing into a government building, is this going to come true in the near future? And I told Snowland last night, I said, Snowland, if this happens, in the near future, you're going to become famous as a visionary. She said, that's okay. But the Bible says that in the end times, your sons and daughters will prophesy. Okay, let's look at the next slide. The building was catching on fire. Another building appeared in front of my house. It had water tanks that clean the water. Am I doing this right? Did I'm sorry, excuse me a minute. I want to make sure I get everything right. Oh, okay, I guess this is right. It had water tanks that clean the water. That would be a water treatment plant. A third plane crashed into it, and the water came out of it, pouring into the streets. Quickly as that happened, I told my mother and sister to help me remove the air conditioner from the window due to the fact black smoke was beginning to seep in. So we did, and I helped my sister, and we placed it on the floor. I locked the window, and I kept looking outside. All the power was out. It became extra black, not a light in sight. Even the flames had died out. And then she talks about some of the creatures, the Slenderman, which I will talk about in a minute. So here's another prophecy. Is this a real water treatment plant that Snowland sees getting bombed? Is this going to happen in the near future? And I kind of grilled her on this, because I didn't think a water treatment plant being destroyed by a plane crashing into it would be significant. And she thought it could symbolize some kind of a water explosion, something like Hoover Dam. That was her suggestion. And I got to thinking today that Jonathan Kleck, if you remember, quite a few years ago, said that Hoover Dam would be blown up on 11/11. Now, he said 11/11/11. In other words, 2011. But maybe Hoover Dam will be blown up, 3 days from now on 11/11. And I'm not saying that's what she is predicting, but I'm just saying that that's a possibility. Now, she also sent me a picture of the water treatment plant that looked like what she saw. Let me see if I can get that here. Just a minute. So this is the picture that she sent me. And that's a typical water treatment plant. So I don't think that's... I'm sure you all know what they look like. And she said that the water treatment plant, it's still burned with a lot of smoke. And I said I didn't understand how that could be, but she did not think it was like an oil plant. It was, in other words, a oil storage facility. It looked like that picture, a water treatment plant. So let me continue now with the third slide. On to my far right were creatures coming out. They were extra tall, about 9 feet, very skinny, black shadows. I counted 4 of them. They were going after the ones that worked for them. The Holy Ghost told me in my heart what those shadows were doing. So I'm the one that mentioned to Snowland was this Slenderman that you saw, and she was familiar with Slenderman. And she said she did not think so because Slenderman, if you've seen him pictured in movies and you can see quite a few here on YouTube. There's amateur movies, and they have people dress up as Slenderman, and they have white faces. And she said there was no white face on the demons that she saw. But the original Slenderman demons, and there were quite a few sightings. And I remember this. This was like 30, 40 years ago. And they would be write-ups, not in, of course, your mainstream media, but in our publications, religious publications of people who saw demons that looked like just exactly like what Snowland saw. In other words, Slenderman. And Snowland says that there are 4 of these demons in her dream. And, of course, that's an end times number. It's the most important end times number. And she said they represent north, south, east, and west. And, of course, that would mean that the demons in these end times that she is seeing, her dream is about an end times event in which the demons are all around us. Of course, they're all around us anyway, but they will be seen. And there's a lot of visionaries that say that that will occur in these end times. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Just a minute while I get organized here. There was a woman and a man. The woman was bright. She was shining like the sun. So let me break in here a minute, because I was immediately, of course, interested in this woman shining like the sun. And I said, is this Mary? I mean, that's the first thing I would think of. I'm sure you would too. And Snowland said, no, because, and she knew she wasn't, because she was wearing slacks and she was wearing a shirt. But we talked about this together, and I think we both agreed that she was in a state of grace. Okay, let's go back to the slide. There was I read that. There was a woman and a man. The woman was bright. She was shining like the sun. On the other hand, the man was covered in pure darkness. He did not shine like the woman. The first demon walked into streets, never to be seen again by me. The second went after the man and smacked him on the back, causing his death, his body dropping to the ground. The third creature looked at the woman and walked away. It did not touch her. The fourth demon went to the opposite side and left. I think all four went north, south, east, and west. So I have a slide here. Just a minute. I'm going to find this slide for you. I'm the engineer, as you know, of this program as well as the host of this program. So I think I got Slenderman. Okay. And this is similar to the thumbnail that I did for this program. And these are, of course, homemade movies made by people trying to scare you. But this is very similar to the description of the real Slenderman demons. Notice that there is no white face in this. These are amateur movies, as I say. And I think Snowland, if she looks at this, I think she will say that this is very similar to the Slenderman that she saw in her dream. Okay, now I want to move on to the next slide. Somehow, our house had gotten a balcony. We have none in real life. At this point, I heard my mother and sister doing Hail Mary prayers and asking Our Lady to protect us and hide us from these monsters. I joined in, asking for protection, and at the same second, a demon jumped on top of the balcony and started to walk back and forth, looking at us, as it was trying ways to get inside without touching the window. He looked at my mother and sister a little bit longer than he did with me. I tried not to make eye contact with it. We covered the windows. It was extra hard to see because everything was pitch black. I heard my sister as she tells me, I have to leave. So, I definitely think this is an end times event. Everything is pitch black. It reminds me of the 3 days of darkness. Maybe that's what Snowland is dreaming about. It could also be, well, if there were a nuclear attack, there would also be complete and total darkness, no lights. She said that we covered the windows, and that reminds me of remember Lot and his wife were told not to look at the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And I think and we've been told in our refuges to cover our windows with black cloth, to have black cloth in our homes to cover so that we can't see God's judgment on mankind. It's interesting that the demon looks at Snowland for a shorter time than her sister and mother. And I'm wondering if that means that Snowland is a little better protected than the rest of her family, maybe because she's the visionary. And she said that she tried not to make eye contact with the demon. Maybe that's what makes the demon less willing to attack her like the demon attacked the man. So maybe the demon sees that Snowland is shining also like the woman. And here we see that Snowland's sister, who would be Sayako, wants to leave. And that does not sound like a good decision to me. And I don't think it is, as we will see here. Let me get to the next slide. I think this is the last slide. Side note, everything, including outside, was so dark that it was scary. It was beyond dark. I quickly went over to the right side window to see the exit from the other house. It was covered in a black goo substance the demon had put to let no one inside or outside. I looked at my sister and told her, "The entrance you came from is blocked. You must go somewhere else." At this point, I knew it wasn't my sister. I knew she would never go outside since it was scary. I started to pray at this point, and a sudden vision of a flight of stairs appeared in my head. It was a stairs heading downstairs. And that was the end of Snowland's dream. So it can't be Snowland's sister after all, and I'm glad to hear that, because I certainly hope that Sayako would know to stay where the rest of the family in the safe refuge. And as I said, going downstairs, the stairs, remember, is going down. This is not a good idea. This is leading away from the two bedrooms, which symbolize Mary's Rosary and Scapular. In other words, the safe part of the refuge. In other words, you're walking away from safety. So let me show. Snowland sent a picture of the stairs, the type of stairs that reminded her of the stairs in her dream. So there it is. I think she said that it has 3 landings. I'm not sure what the significance of that would be, but it's a typical stairs. And she said it was going down. So, as I say, I think this dream is not really sadder. The sad part would be, of course, the demons and the destruction of the buildings. But this closing of Snowland's dream refers back to the beginning of the dream, and that her home is a safe refuge. And I think this is a lesson for all of us in our refuges. That, in other words, leaving our refuges would be like going downstairs away from safety. If we stay in our refuges, we will be safe from demons. We will be safe from the destruction of the going on all around us. And it's very possible that the destruction of the government building and the water treatment plant those are not real events. It could be the symbolic events. In other words, it's telling us that in our refuges, don't expect any help from the government, and we are going to have to store all of our necessities like water. That is very likely the symbolism, the meaning of her dream. So, in any event, I think that Snowland, this is not a sadder dream. I think this is a very positive word from the Lord that you are in a safe refuge as long as you stay under the protection of the 2 upstairs bedrooms, which symbolize Mary's Rosary and Scapular. And the dream is, I think, important for all of us because it's a lesson. It's a lesson for all of us. So thank you very much, Snowland, for the dream and passing it along. And now, if you would like to call in and correct me if I made any mistakes, or if you just want to shoot the breeze, people would like to, I'm sure, have you talk with us. But what I will do now is to go and take a look at the chat and see if anyone would like to talk about us. Snowland stream. Excuse me a minute. I have a little cafe mocha here. Oh, good. Snowland is going to call in. Hi, Snowland. Go right ahead. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What did you have any comments on my interpretation?
Yes, a few of them.
Okay.
Um, I, I would like to start off with the airplanes.
Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking about them, and it looks like one of those air remote airplanes, so you can fly around.
Oh, you mean like a drone?
Yes, those.
Oh, okay. Well, that's quite a bit different.
Yeah, it only had it has the emergency door on the other side, I think. Like, where you could put like batteries and stuff.
Oh, okay. But
And
you said you were afraid that people were killed. Oh, of course, maybe if the drone blew up a building, then people would be killed.
yes, that's how I cried out of remorse because
Oh,
I shouldn't have um made that joke.
well, yeah. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
And and about the demon, as he jumped into the top of the balcony, he looked at my sister and my mother a little bit longer because they were doing Hail Mary at that moment.
Oh. Oh.
And
Okay.
and when he looked at me, I tried to avoid eye contact,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard them praying, so I was doing the Rosary, and I think the Blessed Mother protected us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you think that slide that I showed, a Slender Man, does that look like the demons that you saw?
Yes, very much, but very, very skinny. I could see their rib cage and
Uh
their
huh.
bones.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very good. Anything else?
Um, the I think the lady that was shining, she was shining bright. She does represent somebody in a state of grace, but also I think she was the one that illuminated for me to see the outside, to see the demons and what's going on.
Oh, that's interesting. So
Yes,
she was so bright that she kind of lit up the outdoors. Is that what you?
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting detail. Thanks for that. Very good.
And the water, I think, is a representation of water faucets. Going to the shower, toiletry, like everything that you need for like in the bathroom or like in the sink in the kitchen. Basically, in the refuge, God is saying that your waters are not going to be filtered anymore. Your pipes are not going to be, running water anymore. And I think that's what represents the new era that's gonna unfold with the Antichrist and stuff like that, and we
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to go to the refuge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's basically what I was trying to say. The water treatment plant won't be producing water for us anymore in our homes. We will have to have water stored ahead of time. I think you're
Yeah,
right.
agreed.
Okay. Did you like my idea that you have a safe refuge?
Yes,
Yeah. Good.
I did. And
Have you performed an exorcism with blessed salt around your house?
yes, I have.
Oh,
Me and
you
my
have.
sister
Okay,
did
good
some.
for you. Okay.
And and towards the end of my dream, there a lady that imitated like my sister needed to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are people. I think I'm not sure. I think there are people that will be in a refuge that wants to go back to their homes. You think that's a high likely chance?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So she symbolized people who don't want to stay in the refuge. I think you're right. And in other words, in order to leave, they've got to go downstairs, away from safety. Don't you think that's probably what you saw?
Yes, I think that's the representation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the black goo substance, I think it's like a, so they have to go back outside, basically leaving the refuge of the Blessed Mother,
Mm-hmm.
go immerse themselves in darkness
Uh-huh.
to go back home.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, that's a good point. I think so. I think so too. I think it's kind of a warning to all of us that once we're in our refuges, don't be listening to the demons who are calling us outside. That's the last thing we want to do.
That's true, but many of them will fall victim to it.
Yes,
Sadly.
that's why we've been warned. They say that the demons will imitate the voices of our loved ones.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so anything else, Snowland? Want me to read the comments?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's see. Dale, let me see. Oh, I got to go back to the beginning here. Kathleen checks in. Uncle Jalapeno says that Slender Man is creepy. No doubt about that.
Exactly.
Rui says, I have heard that this Slender Man is very evil. And that's for sure. Full Strength checks in. So does Diane Thornton. RT says, I'm more odd than interesting. Susan Kovac checks in. And Dale Fote says, this November 11th will be 11/11/11 plus 11. Oh, that's interesting. Thanks for that, Fote. Maybe that person, that was that person was Jonathan Kleck. He has an interesting, I haven't checked his channel in quite a while because he's very anti-Catholic. But I was fascinated with that prophecy that he gave about Hoover Dam being blown up on 11/11/11. And as you say, this year it's 11/11/11/11.
Yeah, and the escalation of the Ukraine and Russia and China and Taiwan, and it's escalated to the point no return.
I agree. Snowland. There's no peacemakers out there anymore, and that includes Pope Francis. He thinks he's a peacemaker, but if he goes to Russia, I really don't see anything good coming out of that. So we don't have any peacemakers.
No.
Okay, here's what Carolyn says. I think this dreams that shows that Snowland and Sayaku, that wherever they live, it will see some kind of hit, and they are not to worry. Oh, that could be. And I don't want to tell you, Snowland, that this guarantees that your new home is a safe refuge. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that might be I mean, if the Lord tells you to leave, take his word over mine, okay?
Yeah. We did consecrated our house to the Blessed Mother mantle, and we continue to consecrate ourselves to the Blessed Mother.
Okay, well, that's nobody can do any more than that. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Let's see. Kathleen says, William, the military has found 150 years worth of stored food to feed the whole world? No kidding. Huh. I don't know, Kathleen. Some of your resources sound like the National Enquirer, but I shouldn't say anything.
Do you want to know something, William?
Go ahead.
So, on Google Maps, when I searched for the first time in this house that we currently live in, it disappeared on Google Maps.
No.
Yes, it did. It shows next door neighbor's house, but never this house. It just skips on to the next house.
No. Is that true?
Yep.
No kidding.
When people, we call taxi majority of the time when we need to go somewhere far. Not even the taxis are able to find this house. And sometimes this house becomes so invisible to my sister and me for the last couple of days until we got used to it. And it's like the way it was built, it's like very invisible. It's like very sheltered.
That's interesting. Well, I think that's a sign of a refuge. All of our refuges will be invisible to the enemy, as I understand it. I think that's why they're called refuges. So I'm not surprised. I'm sure I've told you about the time I was looking for a post office in Utica, New York. And I knew where the post office was. I had to mail a letter, and I could not find that post office. I went down the street where I knew where it was. And the reason I went to Utica, which is 30 miles away from my house, is because it was Sunday night, and I wanted to get it out. It was actually a press release, and I could not find that. I said, well, it must be the next street over. So I went down. I mean, how can you lose a post office? I mean, there were flags, right? There were flags all flying all over the place. There were these big postal trucks outside. I went down the next street over, and I said it wasn't there. So then I said, okay, it must be on the other side of the first street. I went down that street, and I said, this is crazy. And there was a man standing on the end of the road, and I said, do you know where the post office is? And he says, well, it's right down the street that you just came down. I said, wait a minute.
Oh, wow.
I said, wait a minute. So that time I knew that the Lord was hiding the post office from me. And it was a lesson for me to know that the Lord can hide buildings from anybody he wants to hide them from.
Well, very true. You had a hard time with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good to know. I'm glad you're safe. It makes me feel good because I'm never sure about you girls because I know you're in a vulnerable situation. But if the Lord can protect you anywhere, he protected that family in Hiroshima. They lived just 6 blocks from ground zero from the atomic bomb, and everything else around them turned to ash, and they didn't have a scratch on them. So
that's a blessing, and hopefully it helps to each and every one of us that are faithful and good servants of the Lord and trying.
Okay, here Kathleen Christine DiValario makes a good comment. She said, gray planes without windows are drones. So she's kind of agreeing with you. When you saw the plane without windows, that was a good sign it was a drone type plane.
It makes sense. There's no pilots. It's air controlled from safety of their headquarters, and nobody needs to really die, like kamikaze style.
Okay, so I think we've kind of fixed that part of the dream up, that it was not actually a plane, it was a drone. Okay, super. Okay, what else have we got here? Carolyn Couch says the person in the dream that said they wanted to leave could represent fear. I think so. It might fulfill that men's hearts will fail them for fear of what is to come upon the earth. I think Carolyn is right. Is exactly right. In other words, you can't let that fear take over. Mary,
that is very true.
Yeah, Mary said at La Salette that only faith will survive. So
that's true, and it will come to the. I think that will also. I have so many interpretation coming down in once in my mind. So basically, that will lead also to the famous quote: "The living would envy the dead."
Yes, exactly. Carolyn Couch has an interesting comment, Snowland. She says, on Google Maps, my house doesn't come up either. Just a view of the land and a building. Well, that's interesting. Huh. I thought Snowland, that was you're the only house in the world like that. But see, evidently other people are in the same situation. So maybe it shows that Carolyn Couch has a safe refuge.
That is cool.
I'm going to have to check and see if my house comes up on Google Maps. Okay, well, is that all, Snowland?
Yes.
Okay. I think we can sign off. We've completed the chat, and thanks for helping out and calling in. So
you're welcome.
Okay, and don't forget, about an hour from now, Sam Fisher will have a live stream rosary on the Piata Rosary channel, and then I will be back tomorrow, same time, same station. And I'm sure I'll see you then, right, Snowland?
Definitely.
Okay.
My Sayaku says hello and goodbye to everybody.
Okay.
And God bless.
Okay. God bless you and your sister too. Thanks, Snowland. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye.